So they decided to give you my profile in silent mode. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. But before I do that, please let me observe kingdom ethics. Please help me to celebrate the convener of this conference. He is my pastor, he's my mentor, he's my archer, the Reverend Bemini Eboda. Thank you so much for helping me to honor him. My name is Tunde Wale Temowo. I'm sure you can read the profile. So I currently work in a financial services institution. I have the opportunity to head human resources and administration there. Prior to that, I'd worked in one of the big four auditing firms in Nigeria, but I wasn't in the audit practice though. I was in advisory as a management consultant, and I've had the opportunity to work with some of those people you see on TV and who are like movers and shakers of this country, both at government and private sector levels. I went to school small. I have a first degree from Great Ife. Are there Great Ife people here? We're always very proud. And I have an MBA from the University of Leicester, and I also happen to be an alumnus of the Lagos Business School. Okay, you want to clap, please do. Thank you. Thank you. So, when, if I wasn't doing this, I would have also registered to be in this class. Because, Owuni Koko, right? We're people of faith, but at times, some of those songs, we hear them. It was Burna Boy. I said, Dangote, still they find money. So even Dangote is still looking for money. So that means that, wealth acquisition is a journey, right? It is a journey. So do I have a lot of money? So able to come and talk to you about you and your wealth? Well, it depends. I'm also on that journey. And we can, be on this journey together. So I've learned some things, on this journey. I was told over 1,000 people registered, for this. So I'm like, wow, money really matters. Money really does matter. So I know that seated in front of me here, we have people across different strata. Some of us are probably students. Some of us we just started working. Some of us are already managers. Some of us are probably about to retire. So imagine having to do something that will cut across all of these different strata. So that means that I have a delicate job so that I can say things that will be applicable to all of us, irrespective of whatever our strata are. I also know in terms of our finance education, because basically what we want to do here is finance education. In terms of our finance education, we're also at different levels. Some of us, beyond Naira and Kobo, we probably don't understand a whole lot about managing finance. And I'm also sure seated here this afternoon, we have people who are managing money, and people who have made a lot of money, people who advise people on how to manage their funds. I have a friend, I don't know if he's here yet, he also registered to be here. You know what he does for a living? He sells money. As in, he sells money. We were both at a program recently, and when they were telling us to introduce ourselves, when he introduced himself, what do you do? He said, I sell money. In case you are wondering what kind of job is that one, he sells money. I'm just telling you, he's a banker. You know what? That's what banking is about. What do banks sell? Money. They collect money as deposits, and then they sell to people as loans, and they add their own margins. So bankers sell money. So do we have people who sell money here? I'm sure there should be at least 1, 2, 3, 4 bankers. So people sitting beside them, they are money sellers beside you. So, having profiled my audience this afternoon, I'm not going to talk a whole lot of theory. I'm not going to talk rich dad, poor dad stuff that you probably can't even apply in the Nigerian. You know, some people read those books written by Americans, and then you live in an environment where you are still struggling with NEPA. And an American has written a book and told you this is how I succeeded. You can't situate it, in your environment. So I will try as much as possible not to be very technical, not to be very theoretic. I'll try as much as possible to be practical. I won't speak big grammar. I'll try. I won't speak big. If I speak big grammar, I will break it down. So if I speak big grammar, I'll try and break it down. I will use relatable examples, experiences that you and I can relate with, majorly within the Nigerian context, because I want to believe we all live in Nigeria and grapple with the everyday reality of the Nigerian situation. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to be talking about. So let me start with this. Something happened on May 29 last year. May 29 last year. You know what happened May 29 last year? Subsidy is gone. That thing was not just a speech. It touched everybody's pocket. Everybody. So I used to fill my tank with about 13,000 naira. About 13,000 naira will fill my tank before May 29 last year. And that would last me for like 2 weeks. So in a month, I would spend max 30,000 to fill my car, to buy fuel in my car. Today, I would fill the same car with about 40,000 naira. And then it runs me for 2 weeks. I don't really move around a lot. My life is very triangular. Office, church, home, largely. So my full tank will last me 2 weeks. So that means in a month now, I fill my car with 80,000 naira. Last year, it was 26,000. Now, the people that employed me that's like like almost times 3. My salary has not gone up times 3. How many people can identify with that story? Virtually everybody. Yeah. So, I wonder, even if they have increased your salary, it's not likely to have been 300% increase. So that's the reality that we grapple with. Now let's get into it. I have some slides. I hope they're going to put in those slides. The media guys, please, I would really appreciate if those slides are on the screen, because I will need it for a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. Okay, anyway, while they are sorting out, but please, media, help us and try and put those slides on the screen. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Do you like my slides? It's fine. Let me clap for my wife. She did it. All right. The next slide. Let's set the context. First things first. We're people of faith, right? Why is money important to us? Why do you want to have money? Or why should you have money? Money is a tool. Reverend would say that money does not have a morality of its own. It takes on the morality of whoever is holding it. Money in the hands of late Osama bin Laden could pull down World Trade Center. It could cause a lot of damage. Money in the hands of terrorists is terrible. But money in the hands of a good person, a kingdom-minded person, will do a lot of good stuff. God wants us to have money. He said he delights in the prosperity of his saints, right? There isn't so much you can do in the lives of men without money. Money is very, very important. Even if you are a ministry person, you say anointing without finance is annoyance. Owo ni keke, money is the bicycle of the gospel. So we all need money. It is very important, and it is scriptural. Deuteronomy 8:18, and you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth. Why? That he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. So God gives us the power to get wealth. It's a power we have as Christians. You may not have a lot of it yet, but he gives us the power to get wealth. And there is a purpose for us having wealth. Now, what is wealth? It's beyond money. I'm sure you agree. It's beyond money. But money is a very huge element of it. I have a definition here which I picked from Investopedia. It says, wealth is a measure of value of all assets, keyword, assets of worth owned by a person, community, company, or country. So, countries too are classified as rich. Or is Nigeria a rich country or a poor country? If you say Nigeria is rich, Nigeria is rich. Nigeria is poor. Okay, you have if Nigeria is rich. My love. So we are rich. We're just mismanaging it. We're wealthy, not rich. Okay, another dimension. We say we are wealthy, not rich. There are companies in America that make more money than the whole of Nigeria. Apple makes more money than Nigeria. Apple makes more money than Nigeria. Saudi Aramco makes more money than Nigeria as a whole. So think about it again. But let's focus on ourselves this morning. It is quantified by the market value of all physical and intangible assets owned, less debt. And I'm going to come back to that towards the end. So wealth is not just money. That's what we're saying here. Wealth is everything you own. So before, when I was younger, and you hear this billionaire is worth $10 billion. You know, I used to think they have $10 billion inside one account. That's not what it means. Dangote today, I think they said is what? How much is Dangote worth? Those of you that follow Forbes. How much? 13 billion US dollars. No, it's not up to 30. No. 13. Yeah? It's not more than 13. It's not up to 30. No, he doesn't. That's why he's still looking for money. But anyway, whatever it is, let's say it's $10 billion. It's not like he has $10 billion stashed in one account. It's a summation of everything he has, the houses he has, the stocks that he has, the value of his businesses, the cash he has as well. We're going to look at that further up. So to exercise this power, so first we've established that God gives us the power to have wealth, right? Now, to exercise that power to have wealth, three things, and those are the three things I'm going to focus on this afternoon. You've got to earn. So to start with, before we even say we are managing wealth, you've got to earn. And so we'll talk a lot about earnings. And then you've got to save. And then you've got to invest. So you need to earn, you need to save, you need to invest. So people say, hey, alone in save. I mean, you've been there. Like, this money never reaches, and I'm even meant to save. We'll come back to talk a little bit more about savings. I'm sure you've been told now that no matter how much, even if it's 1,000 naira you're earning, you should be able to save. Be able to save. But I know that there are people genuinely, who you to, I can say I should save out of it. So let's look at earning. Let's start with the earnings. Next slide, please. Next slide, let's talk about earnings. Okay, while they're bringing that up here. So earnings or income are often conflicted with wealth. So earnings are not wealth. Earnings are conflicted with wealth, but they are different. So earning is a flow, what is coming in. Wealth is a stock, what you have accumulated. Do you get that? So your earnings is the inflows. Your wealth is what you have accumulated. Accountants, I'm sure we have accountants here. They will tell you there's a difference between turnover and profit, or retained earnings, or assets. I'm not here to talk big accounting stuff, but all these things are different. So, earnings or your income is a flow. Wealth is what you have stocked. So, wealth is an accumulation of valuable physical and intangible assets. How much you earn and what you do with your earnings are key to wealth accumulation. You could earn a lot and not be wealthy. Now, I have a question. You've probably had this a lot of times, that you can't be rich from salary. You've heard it, right? So, question, do you agree with that statement that you can't be rich from salary? If you agree, can I see your hand? You agree that you can't be rich from salary? Okay. Do you agree that you can be rich from salary? So the people that agree that you can be rich from salary are more than those of us that think you can't be rich from salary. And I'm so sorry. I should have done this when I started. I had planned to do it, but we probably don't have that time. I was going to ask maybe 1, 2, or 3 people that what are your expectations, out of this. But I trust God that what we'll do will cover a lot of expectations. And by the time we go into Q&A, if something hasn't been covered, you could always ask the questions. So can you be rich from salary? It depends. You can't be rich from salary, actually. You can't be rich from salary. In fact, there are some people whose earn salaries, their salary itself is serious. It's serious. And I don't even want to, let me not go as far as all those footballers that earn, his salary. People who watch for Mbappe, how much is Mbappe going to be earning weekly at Madrid? Is that salary, and some people are saying you can't be rich from salary. Let me read a stat to you. I deliberately didn't put this on my slide. This is not footballers' money. Now, this was about 2 years ago. Highest paid CEOs in Nigeria. Highest paid CEOs in Nigeria. Now, these are even not the highest paid CEOs in Nigeria. These are just the CEOs, highest paid CEOs of companies that are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So they have to publicly disclose. That's why we see this. The CEO of MTN, 850 million naira per annum. And you are telling me that you cannot be rich from salary. They play. CEO of Dangote Cement, 736 million naira per annum. The lowest here was CEO of Nestle, 266 million naira per annum. And I can even tell you that these are just the official figures. Yeah. There are a lot of other perks that are not. So you can get rich from salary. But at the same time, people can earn all of this and not be wealthy. That's what we said here, that what you do with your earnings is what determines whether you are wealthy or not. So you can earn a lot and not be wealthy. People work in Shell for 30 years and they retire. They pay them a lot of money. 5 years down the line, they are struggling. They got a lot of money, but they did not build wealth. So let me focus on salaries now. Because I know salaries have been demonized a lot. 9 to 5 people, you can't be rich doing 9 to 5. Hey, you can't. What does salary do for you? Number one. And I'm speaking to, how many of us are in paid employment here? Paid employment. So you work and you collect salary every month. Don't joke with that, your salary, no matter how small it is. Number one is salary is one of your fastest means out of poverty. The money may not be a lot, it may not be enough, but it helps you to meet some needs. And if you're a salary earner, you know what I'm talking about. It helps you to meet some needs. So don't despise salary and don't get stuck in I can't be rich or I can't be wealthy from salary. Number one, your salary helps you to escape poverty. Number two is that your salary can be a seed capital for that business, that big business you want to do. There are people who have built very thriving businesses who the first monies they put into it was their salary. So you have a bigger vision than where you are working currently. But that money you are earning can be the seed that will help fund that your major dream. So your salary can be a seed capital. It could also be, it could help you access credit. What do I mean by your salary can help you to access credit? If I'm earning salary every month, they are paying me, let's say I'm earning 200,000 naira every month. And someone, my friend is a businessman or a contractor who probably in a year, he only gets 2 or 3 contracts. Maybe each contract, maybe like 10 million. So in a year, 10 million in January, then things go dry. Those of us that do business, you understand. Then you go through a dry spell. Then maybe in June, showers of blessing. Another contract, 10 million. Now, mind you, when they say somebody got contract of 10 million, we quickly think, when did he make 10 million? No. He's only that of 10 million. At the end of the day, maybe 500,000 naira. So then another dry spell, then September. Do you know that chances are that if we both, but me, I get my 200K every month, you know. Chances are if we both approach a bank to give us loan, they are more likely to give me that is earning 200K than that guy. Why? Because there is no consistency of flow. My own, they will profile 200 yen Wale every month. So we can give him something he can be paying back maybe 30,000 every month. We are sure we will get it unless he loses his job. But the person that made 10 million in January and nothing comes again, bankers, that's a riskier person to give your money to. So your salary helps you to access credit. I work in a mortgage refinance company, and I'll talk a bit about mortgages later. Mortgage companies find it easier to give mortgage to people who earn salary than business people. I'm not saying they don't give to business, but you have to prove that I can actually repay. But for a salary earner, they just need to look at, your salary and all that. Yeah. So, but earning a salary is not enough to make you wealthy. I mean, we've confirmed that. But that salary can actually be what gets you out of poverty. It can be something that helps you to build your larger dream that you want to pursue, and it can also help you to access credits. Bankers, I also used to work in a bank earlier on. One of the things that robs bankers of their pay a lot is credit. Somebody is selling suits, they'll give it to you. Collect suits, you pay at the end of the month. Fuani, I used to work in a bank then. Fuani used to give us electronics. They know you can even give them post-dated checks, knowing that your salary will enter that account. So, and it helps you to build a lot of stuff. You buy car on loan, all of those things. So those are some good things about a salary. So we said you need to earn, but oftentimes that salary is not enough, no matter how much it is, because even the normal economic principles that the more you earn, then your taste, the things you need to do now increase. So you were earning 200,000 a month. You were managing yourself, 1 suit or 2 suits. You just change the shirts inside. Then maybe you got another job or they promoted you. You're now earning 500,000. And I say, a making was 50,000. 100,000 suits, right? So what do you do, especially when that salary? I'm going to talk to business owners too. I'm starting with salary earners. So what do you do when that salary is not enough to even the point of building wealth? Multiple streams of income. Dear salary earners, please and please, that salary may never be enough. It's not everybody that is those figures I called. How many people become CEO of MTN? Somewhere say only God knows. That salary may not be enough. But if there is one thing, remember I said at the beginning that I want to make this very practical. I don't want to talk theory that I've read in a book. I want to speak to our peculiar situations. So that salary may not be enough. Oftentimes it is not enough. You need multiple streams of income. I like this scripture in Genesis 2:10. The Bible says, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 river heads. Now, this is my own personal revelation out of this scripture. I'm not saying that is what it means, but this is the revelation I caught out of it. That river started as one and parted into 4 river heads, which means pé ọ̀nà kan ò wọ́jà. That's my interpretation of this. Ọ̀nà kan ò wọ́jà. Multiple streams. OMG said it this morning that it's different things, right? That in Nigeria, you can't even be one thing right now. Pay attention to multiple streams of income. Oftentimes, one source of income is not enough. Now, let's get a little bit more practical with it. So I'm also an HR person. So I also need to give this caveat or this warning. So you now say you went somewhere, they said, multiple streams of income. You now tell your boss on Monday, hey, second stream of income. You will lose that. That's your. So be ethical about it. While you are chasing those other streams of income, don't do what will hurt your primary means of income. Don't engage in other sources of income that will now put you in what they call a conflict of interest situation with your primary source of income. One day, a lady came to my office some years ago. She was working for an insurance company, so she came to sell insurance. So she was marketing, we talked and talked. After she finished, and I wasn't going to buy the insurance. I wasn't interested in the insurance products that she came to sell. Then she finished, the next thing, she brought her from her bag. She was selling something else. Insurance letter. Now, I felt that was very unprofessional. You came on the platform of you work for an insurance company. After you finished that one, you see that I did not buy. You now brought out your own personal mutuman taile. No. Please, let's be very ethical about it. I have a friend who is also an HR practitioner, and she works in an HR consulting firm. And this week, she was just chatting with me that, Tunde, I need to earn more. My salary is not enough again. I said, I totally feel you. I totally understand you. But your own dilemma right now is that you work in an HR consulting firm. The skill you have that you probably want to monetize with a side gig is also this HR consulting. Now, if you now start doing it by your side, you are conflicting your primary engagement. So the business that is meant to come to your company, you now start diverting it to yourself because you want to do side gig, multiple streams of income. That's unethical. There are people who do it, but please, we can do better. It's unethical. There are a whole lot of other things that you can do that will not conflict with your primary source of income. And that's what I'm saying here. That pursue that other means of income, pursue that secondary means of income, but make sure it is not one that is conflicting or contradicting or running at cross purpose with where you are paid. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, let me give some examples. Remember, I said I'm going to make this practical. Transport business, for example. So you drive to work. You drive to work, and in the morning you park your car. The car is parked there till 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening. You could get a driver to put that car on the road and do Uber. So while you are working, that your assets is making money for you. Now, let's talk about, okay, that just came to my mind now. Is a car an asset or a liability? Okay. Silence. Okay, let's put it to vote now. A car is an asset. A car is a liability. A car is both. Okay. All right, so let's settle it. To start with, what is an asset? Simple, I'm not doing accounting definition. Simple definition. An asset is anything that can put money in your pocket. Right? Anything that can put money in your pocket. Liabilities, something that takes money out of your pocket. So you can see that the boats have it. Because depending on what you do with that car, it can put money in your pocket. Like the example I just gave. So you drive to work alone every day. You now park the car. The car is just there. Find somebody who can drive it and go and make money with it while you're at work. So in that case, it's an asset that you are putting to work. But at the same time too, when you are now visiting mechanic more than what is coming in, the asset, the liability. But you also know that it's also possible that you're not using your car for Uber or Kabu Kabu or anything, and it could still be an asset. And let me explain it. This was real life. When I moved to Lagos, I didn't go with my car initially, and I calculated what I was spending on Uber to walk to church in a week. It was a lot of money. So I had to bring my car. And when I brought my car, I noticed that I was spending less. Is that car not putting money in my pocket? It's putting money back in my pocket. So if in a week I will spend 30,000 on Uber, and then if I drove my car, I'm spending 15,000. I'm saving 15,000. So that car, in that context, is an asset. Another thing the car too could do, apart from this analogy I gave, right? There are some people that the kind of clients they want to attract, they will size you up from your car, from what you are wearing, to know if we can give money to this guy. I know someone who runs an investment, an asset management firm. The guy will tell you that the reason why I'm wearing a Patek, that's a very expensive wristwatch, I am serving the high net worth. They profile me. I attend Cedars in Lagos, and I remember we had a session where I shared this about this sometime last year or 2 years ago. I told a story, and permit me to repeat that story. My wife earlier on, some years ago, she used to work with an asset management company. So she now took her boss to one rich man to give them money to help him invest. So they went to meet the man, told him about how if you invest your money with us, you have so returns and all that. The man was not very convinced, but because of my wife, they maybe gave them 1 million to go and invest for him. So they did not go with a car. They did not have car. And the man's house is not by the road. It's all those streets where not too many cars are passing, those kind of places. So my wife said when they were leaving, so they had to trek from the man's house to the main road. The man stood on his balcony. He was now looking at them. He now called my wife. He said, I have just thrown away my money. He said, you can't even fake it. You can't even fake it. Go and rent one car. Come and use it to bamboozle me. If they had a car, that was an asset. So, it depends on how you use the car. It could be an asset or a liability. Now, to my entrepreneurs, to the business. Remember, we're talking about earning. That is to manage wealth. Before we even start accumulating wealth, we need to earn. And I said you could earn it from salary. You could also earn in the entrepreneurship way. Starting a business of your own. How many of us are entrepreneurs here? We're running our own business. I doff my heart for you. Man, in Nigeria, it's a lot of work. Because you operate in an environment where you're dealing with NEPA, you are dealing with high interest rates, you are dealing with... Please, let's celebrate them. And the Lord will honor your labor and he will prosper the works of your hands. Amen. See, I had this quote from Pastor Jimmy Tewe some years ago. He said, we may not all start a business, but we should all own a business. What does that mean? So you may not be the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are risk takers. You're taking a risk when you go into entrepreneurship. You're taking a risk. Those of us that earn salary, yeah, you know, the money will just come, but that's not a good mentality anyway. But at least you know there is that security of something every 30 days. For the business people, if you got to hit the road, you are your boss. I said, well, but all of us should actually be in that bucket. Maybe not actively as in you are the one that started the business, but invest in a business. So it still goes back to the multiple streams of income I was telling, my salary earners as well. So you may not be the one actively running a business, but try and invest in a business. That's what shareholding is about, when you buy stocks. So you are owning a part of that business. Everybody should own a business. Everybody, whether you're a salary earner or not, you should own a business. You may not be the one that started it, but own a business. Okay, now I was giving us some examples of what you could do as a secondary means of income. I also talk about you can use your skills. Some of you, a crack, a joke. What do you do with your weekends? You're not at work weekends. Look for opportunities to do that as well. Part of it is also invest in that your friend that is bold enough to go into entrepreneurship. You can put some money in their business. So you're also a part owner of that business. We'll talk more about that under investments. So you can, to build the inflow, remember the earnings, you can start a business. You can invest in a business. You can buy shares in a business. And then increase your earning capacity. So I'm earning this amount today. I want to earn more. It may also mean adding to your skill. Adding to your skill. So I'm an accountant. I have HND accounting or BSc accounting. Then go and do ICANN. Go and take a professional course. Go and take a professional certification. Or IT today. Learn the whole front end, back end stuff, if that is your area of interest. So you can also increase your capacity to earn. As a business owner too, you can increase your capacity to earn by just tweaking some things about your business. Maybe the location. And then you move your location to another location where you are targeting a larger audience. Or you are repackaging what you sell as well. Those are a few ways by which you can actually increase your earning capacity. So learn a skill, get a degree, certification. You could change jobs. Bankers used to do that thing a lot, Bankers. So they are in this bank today, then they go and negotiate 2 steps. Then bankers, you know what I'm talking about now. But I think it has slowed down now in banking. There was a time that was how bankers used to rise. Somebody had asked me before that which is the faster way to rise? To stay in one company and rise through the ranks or be jumping? Which do you think is faster? You keep moving now and then you keep negotiating. Before you know it, you're at a higher level. But it can backfire. I had one Oga who was a manager in the bank where I worked. Then he now got an offer from, and I'll mention the name, Oceanic Bank. So he was a manager in, I won't tell you the name of where he was coming from because that one they still exist. So he was a manager there. Oceanic now gave him senior manager with AGM on confirmation. Fantastic. He took it. He didn't just go alone. He took 2 of his boys from that bank. They also gave them 6 months. You know what happened to Oceanic? Sad story, but in reality. But for some people it works well. They move and they earn more. So you could change jobs and earn more. Explore blue oceans. What are blue oceans? Uncharted areas. Things that some people have not paid attention to. So they say that there is really nothing new under the sun. Truly, truly. But there are some areas where some people have not explored. I gave this example in church in Lagos 2 weeks ago. And let me give it. Remember years ago, milk always came in a can. Right? Then Promasidor, cowbell. Now realize that Nigerians don't have enough money to buy milk in a can. Why not put it in sachet? That's how milk came in sachet. And before you know it, they were making money because people could now afford milk in a sachet rather than milk in a tin. Peak Milk realized, people it's very clear market, man. Peak Milk too is doing milk in a sachet today. That was a blue ocean strategy for Promasidor. They saw an area that nobody was paying attention to it. They quickly went there. So as a business owner, I'm talking to those of us that are running our businesses. Have that blue ocean mentality. Have that seeing opportunities where it is not very obvious. 2 salesmen were sent, they work for a shoe manufacturing company. So they sent them somewhere to go and explore that can we sell our shoes. They were salesmen for a shoe manufacturing company. When they got there, they realized that people were not wearing shoes in that place. People were not wearing shoes. So the first guy called back and said, there is no business here. They don't wear shoes. He's right now, isn't he? No business. The second guy called and said, great market. They don't wear shoes yet. No competition. Let's flood this place with shoes. So how you see things, your perspective really, really matters. Diversify your business. Diversify your business. So maybe you started by selling pure water. You can add Coke and Fanta to it. Just be sensitive to the needs around you and add something else to it to diversify, to increase your earning, your investments, your portfolio as well. So remember, we're talking about first you have to earn. So that earning could come either through your salary, and we said that oftentimes that salary is not enough, so which is why you need to look at multiple streams. But make sure that those multiple streams are not hurting your current employer, is not taking your time away from your current employer as well. And then you could start a business, which was why we celebrated the entrepreneurs, among us. And then look for how you can expand these earnings, either increasing your skill, identifying an area that is unserved. I was talking to somebody, so I consult, and which is actually the main reason why I'm on this platform today. I consult for businesses. I was talking to a man. That man left me in prayer. I spoke with him for about 30 minutes. I'm supposed to be doing some things for him. This man sees opportunity in everything. Everything, he sees opportunity. So he wants to do something in tech. He wants to do something in power. He wants to do, I'm not at liberty to disclose the things, but there was something he shared that he wants to do. And I'm like, wow. I've not seen that thing in Nigeria. I pray he succeeds at it. Identifying blue oceans, uncharted territories. That's, if you're a businessman, you need that skill. You need that skill. All right. Then the last point here, he said give. Now this looks contra. We are talking about earning, and we're not saying you should give. But this is kingdom. This is kingdom practice. So when you give, he will cause men to give back to you in good measures. Press down, shake it. Have a culture of giving. It's seed sowing. You're not throwing money away. It's seed sowing. It's seed sowing. So give your time, give your money, give your gifts. So it's not just money. Give of your time. Give of your giftings too. Okay, I don't know if this time I don't know if someone can answer. Let me just pray it out to the organizers. The time I have left, is it just for my session, for my own talk, or it includes Q&A? Please, if somebody can answer me. Okay, Pastor. They said I was supposed to be taking questions now. I've not done 50% too, so let's rush through it. All right, let's move to the next one. So this is about earning. Let's move to the next one. So I'll try and wrap up in like 5 minutes so that we use like the remaining 8 minutes to do questions. So yeah, savings. So remember I said you should earn. So please, let's go back to the... Please don't change the slides. Oh. I said to start with, we said that wealth is an accumulation. And so we're talking about how we build wealth. And I said you've got to earn to build wealth. So we've talked about the different ways you can earn. Now, when you earn, you need to also save because you want to build wealth. Wealth is an accumulation. So you've got to save. In Matthew 25:27, I like the NLT. Jesus was, the parable of the talents. Jesus said, why didn't you deposit my money? In the parable, we said, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest. So my own inference out of that is that at the minimum, ensure you put some of your money in an interest-bearing account. Interest-bearing account. Nigeria today, guess what? With all the economic headwinds, this is the best time to put money in the bank. For people who know, interest rates are at an all-time high. Interest rates are high now. So this is the best time. If you have some good money and you put in fixed deposits, you earn more than you would have earned a year ago now. So put some money in some interest-bearing accounts, not just any account. Now, the Nigeria Sovereign Wealth Fund, which I had the privilege to be part of the pioneer team that started this, I like their model. So the Sovereign Wealth Fund, let me just quickly talk about them, is meant to help Nigeria as a country to save. So, we earn money from crude oil. And that's what funds largely our budget. So what Obasanjo did something that was good. He created what is called the excess crude account. How does it work? So when they do budgets at the beginning of the year, they have what is called a benchmark price for crude oil. That is, okay, we'll sell crude oil at $60 per barrel. Take, for example. So that would be the benchmark price. Then in the course of the year, they could sell oil at $80 per barrel. So what Obasanjo was doing then was that any amount we sell above our budget benchmark, he was keeping it aside in what was called an excess crude account. And that was what helped the Adwa government during the 2009 global meltdown to actually survive, that period. Don't ask me what is in that account today. It's almost zero. For somebody said that what Nigeria has left in that excess crude account is not up to Ronaldo's weekly wage. The money Ronaldo will collect in 1 week is more than what we have in that excess crude account. Is they frittered it. So at a time, especially when Jonathan came in, the governors, actually fought against him that this money you are keeping is contrary to our constitution. The constitution says every money that comes in goes into the consolidated revenue account and it should be shared. So why are you keeping some money aside? So which was why Jonathan, despite all of the challenges, he did something that was good. He now created the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which was backed by law. The excess crude account Obasanjo did was not backed by law. He just did it. Obasanjo is a stubborn man. He did it, damn your consequence, and he did it, which was good. But Jonathan now created something by law, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, where all that money is meant to go into. Of course, not all of it has been going into it. When he started, they put $1 billion there. I think today is worth about $3 billion. Norway has the biggest in the world. I think it's in trillions of dollars, what they have in their own. But anyway, I just wanted to give that background. So they have 3 kinds of funds which you and I can apply in our savings culture. I want you to pay attention. They have what is called a stabilization fund. What does that do? Emergency funds, in case something happens that you can fall back on. So in saving, try and have a stabilization account. Some money that, something just happened, you can quickly take out of it, your stabilization fund. Then the infrastructure fund, that one, they are meant to use it to build infrastructure. Second Niger Bridge, part of it went to the Lagos-Ibadan Express. Infrastructure fund went into it. Infrastructure fund, I want to do one project. You can have something you put aside for that. Now, mind you, I'm not recommending percentages. Look at your earnings and advise yourself accordingly. I think for the NSIA, I think it's about 40, 30 or something. I can't remember. But just look at your earnings. So, put something that's in case I go there. Infrastructure, I have a project I'm planning for. I go there. Now, very important, future generations funds. As the name implies, for generation of your children, have a savings for them. For those of us who probably don't even have children yet, good. You can even start now. There are people who stack up money for their children even before they are born. You already have a child. You can actually, banks have children savings accounts that you can do. Insurance companies to sell some of those products where you put money aside, I remember I did one with a bank for my children, savings account. But the unfortunate part of it is that I can always go and remove money from there. So when I'm broke, I just go and remove. So when I realized I wasn't disciplined enough with that, I now did the one with an insurance on that one. They will tell you until the child is 18, you cannot remove the money. So, and that helps you to build some discipline. So just put that money there. Put that money there. Try and do it. I know it may not be easy, but just try. Just try and put something aside. So you could actually go for this. Have a stabilization fund that you can fall back on in case of an emergency. Infrastructure fund where you're putting money aside. for something in the future. Now, I'll talk a bit about this infrastructure, part of what it helps you. So you want to do a project that you even need to get a loan for. Oftentimes, the bankers will ask you for your own equity. Like, what do you have? You need to have a skin in the game. What you have in your infrastructure fund can help. I need to have saved up this particular amount so that I can put it down. Then future generations, something for your children. Next slide, please. So invest. This is where the multiplication of money actually happens. The investment part. So whether it is salary or money you are making from your business, investment is what multiplies it. So those guys that I read out how much MD of MTN and all of that, if all the man is earning is just that 800 million naira a year till he retires, he probably won't go more than 10 years after retirement because he will now not be able to sustain that level of lifestyle. So what the smart ones do is they invest. They invest. So this is where the multiplication happens. Let me start from here. What are things you can invest in? Real estate. You know, it appreciates. You buy a land today, there is something called land banking. How many of us have heard of land banking before? You buy land, you hold it. It appreciates. Unless the place turns to Sambisa Forest, Boko Haram invades the place. But it would naturally appreciate. So you could put money in real estate. You can go to, I don't know, where is Ologweru or somewhere. Buy a land and vote for a governor that will take infrastructure there in some years' time. It appreciates. So you can invest in real estate. Cooperative societies, when I say, get into a cooperative society. Cooperative societies will pool funds together, they will buy these things, and you have your own portion out of it. You can invest in stocks. That's buying shares of companies. Capital, now you've got to be careful. People have gotten their hands burnt. Don't just say, all on shares, this company, the thing is good. You go and buy it. Then it's after you buy that, the thing now crashes. Talk to an advisor, an investment advisor that can actually guide you aright. Money market instruments, treasury bills, bonds, mutual funds. So someone close to me, recently he wants to start a business and he's been trying to raise money. So he's looking for 15 million naira. This is real life recent story, 2 weeks ago. So he called me that he spoke to somebody to borrow the 15 million naira and he's offering 16% returns at the end of the year. Is that a good deal? Do you think it's a good deal? Okay, do you think if I give you 15 million, okay, if you give me 15 million and I give you 16% on it at the end of the year, is it a good deal? Is it a bad deal? Okay, so let me explain. So he said he's offering 16%, and that the person said, no, it is small. I said, yes, it is small. You know why? Treasury bills, ask your bankers. If that person that wants to give you 15 million, that you are promising him 16% returns, if he puts that 15 million in treasury bills, 365 days treasury bills, in Nigeria today, he's getting over 20% returns in it. So if I can do treasury bills, and guess what? You want to start business, I don't even know your tracker, you are risky. Treasury bills, they will even pay me my interest up front. So why should I come and give you the 15 million and collect 16% at the end of the year when you might have wrecked the business midway into the year? When I can go to the bank, government, they give me. So think about, these are some decision making in investment. Now, for the person that wants to raise money, that's also a challenge for we businessmen. That's part of the reason why we are not able to raise money. Because see the example I just gave. The guy offering 16%, which on a good day should be good. But there is 20-something% if he goes to do treasury bills with it or some other thing. It's also a challenge with raising money for our entrepreneurs in Nigeria. Interest rates are double-digit. Interest rates now is close to 30% if you want to borrow money, which was why I said I doff my hat for people running businesses. It's not in my slide, but I could quickly talk about, because that may be a question in the heart of someone. How do I raise money for my business? I want to start a small business. How do I raise money? So if you're not borrowing is very expensive in Nigeria today, unfortunately. So you could also do equity raising. Sell a share, give someone a share of the business for money to come in. You could also access some concessionary funding from some government institutions like BOI, DBN. They have their conditions, though, I'm not saying. And then you could have angel investors, that can also put money into your. And if you're more sophisticated, especially the fintech people, you could have venture capitalists that can also put. But there's some discipline you need to have before they do that. And of course, if you had some salaries that you had saved, you can also put that into the business as well. You can also do a Greek business. Pastor Ron is not here. Farmers are very rich. They are making a lot of money. There is money in agri business as well. Crypto. How many of us are doing crypto? How markets? You are not even afraid to raise your hand. You know that thing is almost illegal in Nigeria now. I think Nigerian government, they are not sure what they want to do with crypto. First they ban it, later they say, okay, now they are. So, my point about crypto, you see, I put question marks there. If regulations permit, and you understand the dynamics very well. Very well. If not, don't go there. Yeah. And a whole lot of other things I'm almost out of time now. But very quick warnings. Ensure that your portfolio is diversified. A mix of liquid and illiquid. So, for those of us that are into real estate, if all your portfolio, all your assets, is buildings, land, and all that. If you quickly need money tomorrow, it's going to take you time to convert those assets into cash. So make sure that your portfolio is diverse. I have one Oga. My MD will say that this guy is property rich and cash poor. He has houses everywhere, but cash is always a problem for him. So make sure that your portfolio is diversified. Beware of Ponzi schemes, MMM. If it looks too good to be real, it probably is not real. Beware of those things. As much as possible, avoid unregulated investments. Some people come and tell you, come and do this. How much is inflation in Nigeria today? It's over 30%. That's the biggest problem a lot of us have to deal with. When I was talking about challenges, NEPA and all that, inflation too is another big problem. Which business, which investment will you do in Nigeria today that will give you returns of over 30%? It's tough. Unless you are doing MMM. So that's what makes them tempting. They will give, I promise you, very high interest. My time is up. But I'll quickly rush through it. They promise very high interest rates. Be very careful of those. Understand your risk appetite. This one too is very, very important. And I like how they manage pensions in Nigeria today. There's what they call multi-funds scheme. So for people, okay, my time is up, Abby. But I just remember it's raining. So let's continue. Abby, they won't be able to come back on time. So we'll continue till they come back until I finish. Understand your risk appetite. Some people they are risk takers. I have a friend, Shehu, he can take any risk at all, and he's got his fingers burned. Know your risk appetite. So I was talking about how they do pensions in Nigeria now. There is what is called the multi-fund regime. So for those of us that are younger, they put us in a fund type where a chunk of our money can go into equities, stocks. Stocks are very risky. It can go up and fall. But for people who are nearing retirement, they make sure that most of your pension funds is not in those risky assets. They put them more in what is called fixed income, government securities, bonds, treasury bills, those kind of things, because those ones are guaranteed. Your money will come back, even though the interest is not as much as what you get in the riskier one. So that's something about finance. The more the risk, the more the returns. So you've got to really think about it, that am I ready to take this much risk as well? Talk to professionals. Have a financial advisor. Talk to your banker. Let them advise you appropriately. And don't be too much in a hurry for returns. We put this money, by 2 weeks' time, forget. Even me that I'm talking to you, I've been victim of this. 2 years ago, when I got into crypto, the guys that were telling me about it, I was very skeptical. I'm also a risk-averse person. The guys that were telling me about it, he said, see, I bought this coin last week. I have made so. Let's go there. You don't want to know where my crypto portfolio is now. So yeah, just things that we need to be very, very worried about. Next slide. Oh, sorry, before I go. Yeah, keep an eye on inflation and exchange rates. I think I've talked a bit about inflation. Is the biggest eroder of value in Nigeria. Unfortunately, it's beyond our own control, really, unfortunately. Inflation. Pensions, let me still go back to the pensions. You know, there is this thing I hear. People say, government is borrowing our pension funds. They should not, you've heard those things now, that government is borrowing pension or they want to borrow your pension fund. And people are like, no, they shouldn't borrow our pension fund. How many of you think government should not borrow your pension fund? Oh, how many of you think government should borrow your pension fund? You are not even sure. So if you are in that category of people who say our government should not borrow our pension, they have been borrowing it since the beginning. And guess what? They should borrow it. You know why? That's the safest class of investment for PFAs now in Nigeria. Why? Would you rather give your money to Dangote or to federal government? Federal government or Dangote? If you give your money to Dangote, Dangote can go down tomorrow. Federal government.
By taking debt and refinancing my loan. Dangote does the same thing also for project finance and the likes of that.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. So let me quickly answer that, and I think to some extent you've also, can you hear me? So I think to some extent you've also answered the question. So I mean, the Bible is not wrong. When you borrow money, you owe an obligation to the person that gave you money. Because if it goes bad, they can come for your property. So that is the context in it. But does that mean that borrowing is bad or that debt is bad? No. Like I told you now, if you want to finance your business, in fact, the two principal things accountants will tell you, debt or equity. So debt is a financial tool. It is a financial tool. But one, make sure that you've got the capacity to repay that debt and you have the character. If you are a banker, they talk about 5 C's of credit, right? Some of you may know it. The most important one, as far as I'm concerned, is the character to repay back that money. There is what they call OPM, other people's money. People that are very rich, they take advantage of it very well. They use other people's money to build wealth. And then, so the thing is that when you're also taking that debt, you do your calculation so that the returns of what you're using it for will outweigh the costs of that debt. So debt is not bad, but make sure you are using it for something that is productive and you have the character to and the capacity to repay it when it is due. We have a lot of people who are not repaying debt. That's why we have AMCON in Nigeria that is taking over businesses. So it's not bad. It's a tool of finance. It's recognized in financing, but make sure that you have the character. And it doesn't negate the Bible, because while you are paying it back, you are at the service or at the mercy, so to speak, of your creditor. If you take a mortgage, for example, when you take a mortgage, that property is not yet in your name, it's in the name of the bank until you finish paying. That's when, even if you take a car loan too, it works that way. The bank has an interest in it, so that's the part the Bible is talking about. But it doesn't mean it is not bad. People who have done businesses will tell you that debt is actually one of their biggest tools. But make sure that the return, that's why you shouldn't borrow to consume. Borrow to produce. Earn more so that whatever you are earning pays your debt. Yeah. All right.
Can we appreciate Mr. Tunde Temowo this afternoon? I'm sorry we won't be able to take more questions. We want to move into the next session of this afternoon's event. Hallelujah. I hope you have been blessed by everything that you've had. Can we appreciate him one more time? Come on, let him feel loved and appreciated.